Hello there.
Welcome to Winter Studies. My name is Sean, and today, or at least I'm going to try to get this uploaded today, is May the 4th. For those who don't know, May the 4th has turned into a massive nerd holiday where it basically celebrates Star Wars, based on the pun, May the Force be with you, May the 4th be with you. No idea where it came from, but it's an excuse to talk about Star Wars. So, I'm going to talk about the greatest franchise ever created, and that is Star Wars. Ba 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 ba. Da, da, da. In 1977, George Lucas released Star Wars, which later became known as Star Wars A New Hope, which later became known as Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. But back in the day, it was only called by one name, Star Wars. Everyone thought that it would flop. I mean, George Lucas had some relative success with American Graffiti, THX 1138, and a couple other projects before working on this one. And yet, everyone thought it would flop. Several major studios, from Disney to Universal, all rejected it. And then he went to 20th Century Fox. Thankfully, for all of us, they accepted it. But even they thought it would fail. In fact, they decided to push all their marketing into a movie called Damnation Alley. I've never heard of it either. George Lucas himself was so worried that Star Wars would be a flop, he nearly sold all of his rights to it. In fact, he and Steven Spielberg made a deal where he gave royalties to Steven Spielberg for life over the movie. And apparently they both went on vacation and formed Raiders of the Lost Ark as a result. So I guess it was a success. But anyways, the movie became one of the highest grossing films of all time, both nationally and internationally. It was the greatest feat of engineering and studio design, or movie design, of its time. And the company George Lucas went on to create, Skywalker Ranch, which included Industrial Light and Magic, Skywalker Sound, and many other top-tier animation and film creation studios, launched a massive new wave of innovation. To this day, Industrial Light and Magic and Skywalker Sound specifically are used in everything from Star Wars projects to Marvel projects to any film that will be lucky enough to use those studios. The innovation left by Star Wars is groundbreaking. And I keep saying this because it's true. They pushed cinematic style, they pushed storytelling development, they pushed special effects and sound design, launching all of it into a whole new wave at the turn of the century. Well, it wasn't quite turn of the century, but a lot of modern day practices on massive blockbuster movies are a result, thanks partly by the innovations granted by George Lucas and Skywalker Ranch. Okay, I just realized that Skywalker Ranch Skywalker Ranch is technically his own, but is also technically the office, so technically I'm going on a lot of memory here. And it's not just the cinema that had such massive gains as a result of Star Wars. Merchandising. I mean, look at this. A shirt. I have books. I have comics. I have movies. Video games. I mean, when Disney bought Lucasfilm, they did their own line of merchandising. That's badass. $4 billion. That is how much Disney bought the rights to Lucasfilm. $4 billion. It is the baddest ass of them of all. For those of you who can't see, this is Darth Revan. And I am missing the purple lightsaber for whatever reason, but nonetheless. By the time Disney made that purchase, Star Wars was already a household name. And at the time, movie-based toys, materials, merchandise was not really successful. In fact, it was mostly unheard of. And Star Wars changed that. And now you can go to Disney World and make your own lightsabers. Some of the biggest Lego sets in history have been Star Wars related. A bunch of massively successful video games, a bunch of massive AAA titles, mind you, a mass of massively successful book series, posters. I'm sure you all have seen by now my two limited run posters. These were bought from Bottleneck Gallery, by the way. I'm not being sponsored by them, but if you like the posters I have, that's where I get them. They do prints of everything pop culture based, and their Star Wars ones are amazing. Now I'm just waiting for a really cool Return of the Jedi. My ideal poster would be the original poster for the Revenge of the Jedi. And yes, I said Revenge of the Jedi, because the original name for Return of the Jedi, it was Revenge of the Jedi. Not only that, but the artist, who is a worldwide phenomenal artist, he did all the Harry Potter posters, he did the Star Wars posters, he did the Goonies poster, he did the Thing poster. He didn't realize how important the lightsaber colors were. And therefore, in that poster, Luke has a red lightsaber and Vader has a green lightsaber. It is one of the most sought after, one of the hardest to find, and one of the most commonly faked posters in Star Wars outside of the birthday poster. And it is my dream to eventually own an authentic version of that poster. But I digress. Star Wars is now a household name, and it is a massively successful one at that. What started as basically an indie, underwhelming, doomed to fail project has turned into a massively successful franchise, which is still putting out content today. Whether or not you believe that Disney's choices on the future of Star Wars have been successful, there is no denying the fact that despite the rough start with some of the movies, there were still amazing other movies. And the TV shows they're pushing out now are phenomenal. Though I am personally a little confused on what they deemed canon and not canon. I never liked the idea that they decanonized everything except the movies and TV shows, where now they're going on and adding massive references, direct quotes, and characters from what was considered decanonized once Disney took over. I'm not harping on Disney. They make their decisions and they know how to run with them. It is kind of weird though, I'm not gonna lie. I am glad to see that most of the previously decanonized material though is officially working its way into the canonized realm according to Disney. Because it would have been a shame to have lost that. Ever since Star Wars was created, there have been books, video games, movies, I can go on and on about this. It would have been a shame to have lost all that. You're talking 40 years of material that the fan base and community created that has been accepted as legitimate canon, like the Thrawn trilogy, for instance. Written by Timothy Zahn, everyone agrees that this is exactly what happened 5 years after the events of Return of the Jedi. And not only all the New Republic stuff, but then there's also the Old Republic content. My personal favorite era. Whereas all of that was deemed decanonized, the TV show Star Wars Rebels went on to feature Malachor 5, which was blown up to end the Mandalorian Wars. In fact, the Mandalore is based on the Mandalorians, and how Mandalore the Great fought a group of sorcerers known as Jedi is that line is a direct reference to the Mandalorian Wars. Not to mention, there have been Mandalorian characters in Rebels. There's been Mandalorian characters in the Clone Wars where they actually visit Mandalore and it gets taken over by Darth Maul, which is the best arc in the entire show in my opinion. I'm hoping we finally get to see the Mandalorian Wars / Revan and Malak, which would be fucking awesome. There's rumors that Keanu Reeves might be cast as Revan if we do end up seeing that. He looks the most like his official look. I'm hoping. There's rumors going about that a Nasa Do or Tulak Horde movie / show is in the works. There's talks that Thrawn is going to become a TV show. And that excites me. Especially if it's done to the movies, they were massively successful box office wise. And they had a lot of cool concepts and very beautiful cinematography. I don't care how you feel about it. But in The Rise of Skywalker, when Kylo Ren first walks into that room and Palpatine is shown to be alive, that was just so beautifully shot. And the atmosphere was just perfect. Moving on though, despite that rough patch, you still got Rogue One, which is critically acclaimed, amazing movie. And then this very high success of the TV shows. Rebels was really hit or miss, but it was massively successful and got really good the further down you went. The Mandalorian was amazing, and now there's going to be spin-offs upon spin-offs. The Clone Wars TV show was fantastic. So the future of Star Wars is... I like to be optimistic about it. The last couple video games that came out have been amazing. Squadron, Jedi Fallen Order... I don't know, the decanonization thing just kind of made no sense to me. Because speaking of Jedi Fallen Order, you fight Inquisitors. But that was a concept introduced in the Last of the Jedi book series and other series like that. And then all of a sudden it was decanonized, and then you see it in Rebels and Fallen Order. Which I guess Fallen Order is roughly based on the Last of the Jedi series, but... I don't know. As we start to see more and more of the old school content go from legacy back into official canon, and we start to see a more cinematic approach to all of it, I think that we're going to start seeing some awesome stuff, and I'm very excited for us to start going into the Old Republic era. Now we're mostly at the High Republic, which, we'll see what comes of that. It's kind of polarizing from my understanding. I haven't read any of the books relating to it yet. But hey, if they bring up Darth Bane, that would be pretty awesome. I'm just saying, Darth Bane in the role of 2 is... But why do I care so much? And why do I think you should care? Well, first of all, Star Wars is awesome. It's the best franchise, period. I don't care what else you're going to compare it to. It is the most successful franchise. From its merchandising, to its popularity, to its lore building, everything about it. If you say Star Wars, 98% 98% of people are gonna know what it is you're talking about. They will have some feeling regarding it. And some of them will have basic to moderate understanding of the storyline. Just because they've seen the movies or they've watched some of the TV shows. And then get people like me that will go in depth for hours about everything. And then you get people that know more than I do about this stuff. It is amazing. And it is such a massive success. And is personally my favorite franchises. I mean, my inspiration is George Lucas. Him and watching Star Wars is what got me into wanting to be a director. A writer-director, which is why I'm kind of doing both right now. Because he took something that he wasn't 100% sure would succeed, purely made from his imagination, and he ran with it. And look where it's going. Look where it's come. That's massive inspiration right there. He created a multi-billion-dollar franchise from just hoping that some crazy idea he has in his mind will become successful. And he drew a lot of inspiration from some of the stuff he watched growing up. There are some tie-ins between the John Carter and the Dune series, which I would not surprise me if he was inspired by. The old Japanese movies inspired him. You can see direct delineations in how the naming of some of, like, stormtroopers, for instance. That's a Roman / German World War I era soldier, name for a soldier. The way the combat is very reminiscent of the old school Japanese movies. Just them the poking of the lightsabers and all that. The whole religious philosophy that originally surrounds the Force in those first few movies. Look where it got him. Just combine the best elements of all of those and run with it. And it's very inspirational, and George Lucas did an amazing job at pulling it off. Because despite all these tie-ins, despite all these references, despite all these things that inspired and aspired him to do it, he created it in a unique way that was groundbreaking. Again, everyone thought, including George Lucas, that this movie was gonna bomb. And it didn't. And it's still alive, and it's still going. And I hope that with whatever comes up in the future, it only gets better and better. As it acknowledges its roots, as it acknowledges the fact that the history and lore gets pretty dark and intense, as it just keeps going and keeps being the great franchise that it is. I'm really excited for all the projects that Disney is announcing. And I'm really excited to see what will happen in the future. And I hope you are too. So until next time, my friends, stay imaginative, and may the 4th be with you. Have a good day.